Saturday in the Boneyard, special I don't live here yet edition. How's it going? I haven't made one of these in a while because we've just been busier than the one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest. That's why you guys come here, for all the old-timey sayings. I have a burial today, and then I have to leave immediately after to go play some music at a wedding. Last night, I was working on a little water project, and I didn't get a chance to test it because I met with a family who wants to buy some graves right over there. 90-something-year-old guy and his 80-something-year-old wife, and his car broke down. I'm not a mechanic, ladies and gentlemen. I don't pretend to be. I can do a few things, but I'm not, if you need a new water pump or a belt put on your alternator and it's got all those tensioners and all that, don't come to me. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. Anyway, so we tried for about 45 minutes. Got to the extent of my mechanical knowledge, so I didn't get a chance to test this. So before my burial gets here, we're going to test this. And you might see a sprinkler that's very eager to point straight up. That's the one we added. That's the one I added. Well, did we add that one or did we move that one? The quandary. There was one, can't even see my screen. There was one in this hole. Okay. There was not one there. So we cut this big pipe, put one in there, and then moved this one out here to the road. But because I had to thread this, because I don't know if you've noticed, there's some extra pipe down there that I think is a drain. It was twisting that pipe, the threader was, and the way this is pieced back together, I was concerned that it was going to rip it out. So I wanted to turn it on, make sure I didn't get a bubble over here. We don't seem to have a bubble here. That's good. That little sprinkler right there next to Bear and Psalm, I'm going to replace that with a taller one. But I know this one looks like crap right now. Obviously, I haven't finished filling the hole in. This ground was rock hard, so I just wanted to make sure I didn't have any leaks, didn't have any issues. Monday, I'll dig that, place it, be golden. And then this can get the water it needs, because with one sprinkler over there, this was not getting the water it needs. What else have we been up to? Well, this section here, our map actually stopped right next to these headstones. None of this existed as usable grave spaces, with a few odd exceptions, like this one. This one's here, and I think someone's buried here. These are not owned. Someone's buried here. There might be two there. Someone is buried here, I'm almost positive, because of the divot, but nothing paperwork wise. So I was up here working on this, and that's when that family stopped by, because they might want to buy these. Anyway, week ago Friday, there was a sprinkler right, I still can't see. Okay, there we go, I'm pretty close. There was a sprinkler right there. It's still there. I dropped it, trenched out over to here, put this sprinkler in because you can see how dry and horrible this is. This didn't get near enough water. So that was one project. I did something very similar just down on the crest of the hill where we had another situation just like this. Wasn't getting enough water, couldn't keep it alive. This one, I think, is on an elbow. I hope it is, because it's going to come over here. And then halfway between here and not that one, but that one, I need to add another one right about where, which shadow am I looking at? That one. That one really doesn't need to be there. That one could be in the middle. So I might move that one. This is another one of these interesting ones. If you've been playing along your copy of the home game, So obviously this one, not an original, because there's nothing else in this row either way, but they are 2 rows over. This is on an elbow, I can tell. But where does it get its water from? Well, God, who knows? It gets it from right here, where they came out of this 2-inch, immediately dropped down to a 3/4, come over, down, over. I don't know if it's coming this way and then goes that way. I wouldn't think so, because I would see it sitting on top of these tree roots. There's a couple of those out here. So I'm thinking it comes this way, and then somewhere in here goes over and over, and that's why that'll go this way, but not this way, because the elbow tightens this way, not this way. So don't for sure know how I'm going to deal with that. I need to dig it down. That 2 inches is coming off of a 4-inch main, I'm sure, and I don't need 2 inches. So I don't know, we'll figure it out. But that one will come up here in the middle somewhere. That one will, that one, I can't see. That one will go to the road, and this one will drop. There'll be 3 right here, boom, 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 all dropped. That'll be good. This one's okay, it just needs dropped. That one's okay. Right there, it just needs dropped. There's one over there by that rock. That rock has been hit at least 3 times, so it's gonna get dropped. I've already done that with another one out here, and I would like another one halfway between these 2. The problem with putting one in is all these roots. So ideally I'd tee off of that one and come into right about chair. Right here, old Ethel's toes. Well, Ethel was only 2, so Ethel is like right here. So well far away from Ethel's toes. Sorry, Ethel. And then I can drop that one, and this one, and that one, and the next one, which is the bearings there, right about there. But unfortunately, all the ones to the north of that have to stay up, because this half is on valves. There's 2 valves. There's one right by that tree, and the other, there's a dual headstone right about there. There's a valve there that does that quarter, and the valve by that tree does this quarter. Does it of this section and across the road. There's nothing on the other section that operates that. It's all on all the time. So we either valve it, which would be a lot of work I don't want to do. I don't have the tools to do it. It would require the water department coming out and doing it for us. It's fine. We'll worry about it. This is another project for another day. We have requested some money in our budget to, the boss wants to modernize and automate our whole water system out here. Which, you know, it's not a bad idea, but it's asking for, I think, way too much. Because he's like, I don't know what it costs, $1 million? Because we would have to basically rip out everything that already exists, at least on the new half. I think it could be made to work with this half. I don't know. How I would do it is I would say, I don't need to automate it, but I want more valves so I can control different things. Like that valve, that little blue thing right there, does this quarter of this whole section. Okay? And then there's another sprinkler right about there. We'll talk about those in a minute. Sprinkler right about there. There's a valve that controls that quarter of this whole section. Right by that tree, there's a valve. It covers this quarter, but also all along that north fence up into right about there. And then everything in this quarter, the northeast quarter, is charged all the time. So what I would do, there's a main kind of over there where that other valve is. There's a main right here. So what I would do is I'd say, let's cut that where it tees off this way, put a valve in it, then I can turn on this quarter. Because the problem with doing the water, it takes me 8 hours a week just to get the water moved between the two halves of the cemetery. 8 hours a week, the whole day. Up here, it takes like 10 minutes. Down there, it takes forever. So my suggestion, instead of automating the whole thing, but this, again, gets very expensive because we don't know for sure how all of that's laid out, is imagine this trunk is our water line. And then on that trunk, you have a limb that goes this way and this way. And then from that limb, you have various branches. Well, I just want to put a valve right there on that limb, so I can turn on and off this whole limb and all the branches. And same with this one, and same with this one, you know, whatever. Wherever it splits off the trunk, put a valve in it. That's all I want. And I think that would work. Problem is, maybe we put a valve here to turn off this limb, but we leave this one on, but these two are tied together on this side. So when I open this valve, it feeds this way and then down and back to the valve where it should be shut off. That's kind of the problem. A lot of these records we don't know. We don't know how accurate they are. If they exist, a lot of them don't. This project, I think I've talked to you guys about this before. That is the die of a headstone that sat here. And this headstone, this back corner broke off. Not this one, this one. That is the Melendi family plot stone. That's a Melendi, that's a Melendi. This would be a Melendi if someone was buried here. That's a Melendi. They were buried first. So, the ground under this one settled, it sank. And the weight of that thing broke the corner off. So we finally, I've been wanting to do it for years, had the monument guys come out. They pulled that. They're going to re-pour it, reset it, all of that. In the meantime, I want to make sure it's going to get set on solid. So I've been coming and filling this with water 2 or 3 times a day just to make sure it's not going to sink, you know. And then we got a cave in back there, right where Catherine's left leg would be. And it's a little hollow under Catherine's headstone. Not too bad, but... So this is a project I'm working on. I'm just going to let that water up there keep running. It's doing what I need it to do. Here's that other valve I was talking about. It turns on this quarter. So... Boss said he was done picking up flowers. He's clearly not done picking up flowers. This is what happens when you bring mums and it gets windy. I mentioned there was another rock that was getting shifted around a bit. It was that one, kind of in the center of your screen there. Not this one, that one. And it was getting bumped, and I don't know who did it. Garbage truck, regular cars. Somebody hit it because I pulled a trim from a wheel well off it the other day. But we had a sprinkler right there. So your old pal Jason, doing what he do best, that sprinkler was right about here initially. Line came up, angled, sprinkler. So I moved it. It's over here now. It can be driven on, that's fine. It's on funny pipe, flex hose, whatever, flexible pipe, whatever you want to call it. Swivel spring. But because I did that, moved it 6 feet this way, we lost the extra coverage we needed over here. So I trenched it. You can probably see the line in the grass to right here. Put in a sprinkler here. So this sprinkler reaches the rock. The sprinkler on the other side of the rock reaches here-ish. And then it also reaches down there to where we just put a couple new ones in a year or two ago. I think you were here for that. The other thing that I've been working on, this is the Hondo family area. There's a lot of Hondos here. The Kikuchis, the Abos, Nakamotos, the Onishis, they're all related. The Ogawas, all related. So we buried Christine and Daniel not too long after, and they had a son who was disabled. He had MS and something else. I don't remember what it was. But super nice guy. We ate breakfast at the same diner, so I saw him a lot. And after his dad and mom died, he just kind of said, well, I'm done living. So he ended up getting buried right here. Now, similar to what I was doing up there, I have a sprinkler just in here, but then there were no other sprinklers anywhere down here until you got way down there to the bottom of the hill. So, poked around and dug around and scrambled around, and I found a water line. If we follow this trench, grass seed's finally starting to come up. That's good. I found this water line right here, and it went that way, all the way down here and here. There was a sprinkler there. There wasn't one there. Why? I have no idea. So found it, cut into it, put a sprinkler up here, because the nearest one to that is right there by the longs, and it actually needs to go about 20 feet that way. So sprinkler there. This is relatively new. This I did earlier. That's why it looks so different. There's a sprinkler here, and then there's a sprinkler in there now. And then we have one at the fence, one at the fence, and one at the fence. That's actually right by our oldest burials right there. So the other thing I did, trenched it over, put a sprinkler at the end of that. So now, plenty of water. Brooks Hondo, he's gonna get some water. That's why his grass is looking kind of yellow, because it's never, this whole area has never had good water. So it's better now. And then last year, when I did some of this, I came off of this one, which was feeding that one by the fence. This might have been 2 years ago. I ran a line from that down there. There's a little dip. Put a drain in there so we could drain all the water off of this side. Sprinkler there, and then I trenched this way. And we got a sprinkler right there. And that one, I've ordered some of the taller ones. They make a 6-inch one of these, and that one might get a 6. It sprays okay. But now we've got plenty of water over here. And what I did a year or two ago is I did the exact same thing in this section, because we had a hell of a time getting water over here. Because the nearest sprinkler was, see where that one is? It was about halfway between us and that. So, yeah, maybe? I can't see, so I'm guessing. But I dug it up, and I trenched it over, and somewhere over here, these have been here long enough that I actually can't find them anymore. I think that's new grass right there. Farther. Right there. Yeah. Sprinkler there. And then this one I teed, I think, and went another few feet. Right there. Right there. Sprinkler there. So, we got coverage over here. Finally. It's wonderful. We love it. Love everything about it. And thank God, too, because it's starting to get hot. And I'm going to have to start watering twice a week now. Which I don't love. But you can see that rock's been pushed quite a bit. That one hasn't been. I still don't like that sprinkler being there. So it might come over this way, get dropped on this side of the rock, and then I really should drop all of these. Oh, that's another one. So this one will go over, drop, just like we did over there. And then halfway between that and that, which would be right about here, Billy the Kid, put one right here, roughly. That one gets dropped, that one gets dropped. Seed this stuff, don't have to spray it, don't have to weed eat it, don't have to jog the mower around all the sprinklers. Saves us all a ton of time. Saves the mowers time. It costs me time. Dropping one of these 20-30 minutes, depending on what the situation is underground. But then when I have to come and spray, which I didn't have time to finish this year, I don't have to spray it. I can just go right by it. So we had a sprinkler right there, about 15 feet from the nearest one. These spray 30 feet. That's way too close. So we had this shutoff valve, and the only thing this shutoff valve controlled was that one sprinkler. Water line comes this way, somewhere it went over this way, turned into whatever it turned into, came out and up. There's some there, and it went over one sprinkler out of 3/4 inch pipe, 3/4 inch all the way, all the way, all the way into that valve. Kind of like we looked at that thing over there, came out 2 inches immediately down to 3/4. So I dug up around this because I was just going to put the sprinkler here because this is a great place for it. We got one there, it's about 30 feet away. Got one there that's a little farther. You got one there that's about the same. So I start looking at it. I'm just going to take that valve out and put the sprinkler right there. Lo and behold, I learned that that's 1.5 inch pipe feeding that single 3/4 inch sprinkler. So I said, screw that, I'm keeping that. And I added 1.5 inch all the way over to here, teed off. Now there's a sprinkler there, and I'm going to keep going. I'm going to take it all the way down the road because I can get rid of that one, and I can get rid of that one. It's kind of in there. There's one right by the side of the road. I can get rid of that one. There's another one farther down I can get rid of, and I can even put one over there by that bench where there should be one. And because it's all going to be 3/4 inch sprinklers, and there's only going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more of them, I can run that 1.5 inch to about here, drop it to 1.25 inches, put another 2 on it, drop it to 1 inch, and put the last couple on it. Tons of water, plenty of coverage, no drop in pressure, and I can get rid of this one that has to be turned on and off every time, and that one, and the next one, and that one. These all are in that quarter that's on all the time. These would all get controlled from that valve in the ground. I could do these 2.5 rows. It'd be great. I would still have that one is on all the time. This one, and there's 2 more. I'd also see a hose over there. I'm going to bust into that one and put one closer to the road, and it'll have a shutoff in the ground right next to it. And then, I'll just have 2 or 3 over here that are still on all the time. That one's on all the time. That one's on all the time. This one's on all the time. A couple years ago, I put in a line around the back of this building because we didn't have any water, especially up there. We were running a hose to it. Got tired of that, so I dug this up, found our main line, tapped into it with a bigger thread, came out of it 1 inch instead of 3/4. It channeled a 1 inch line all the way over to here. I can still kind of see the grass being disturbed into this, so open and close that valve, it turns on these. So that'll always have to be manual. And then over here we've got 3 that are on with the valve, and then there's another 3 or 4 over here that I have dropped. Okay, you with me? You following along? I got something else to show you. Another project. Our benches. I love them. They're great. There's a purple one right up there. And there's a red one behind that tree and a blue one over there. So I had just been painting them, but they started to look really bad, and the wood was just gross. So I said, I'm going to replace them. So I bought some wood, and I cut it to length, and I got a fancy attached to your drill paint sprayer thing, and this is where I've been painting them. I set the board on top of this, and I can prime it, let it sit for a couple hours, come back, prime it, let it sit for a couple hours, usually the next day, flip it over, prime it, because the old boards weren't primed, prime it, and then I can paint it. So I painted a yellow one, and I painted a purple one. This is another project I'm working on. Oh, and this. So this is our sprayer, and it's got this horrible hose, and the worst part about doing this weed spraying is this hose. So I went and I asked around and I looked online and I found a retractable hose reel for this kind of thing, and just for the reel, not the hose, it was like $600. And I said, that's ridiculous. So I found this one for like 80 bucks, and I got $50 worth of air compressor hose. Because air compressor hose, if it will hold air, it will hold liquid. And I built the thing. It's got a little leak in it because I had to do some fancy adapting to get the air pressure hose to fit the hose reel on this thing. And then I've got to do some also fancy adapting to go out of this into the hose size. That's fine, not a big deal. But I'm going to bolt that inside here. Might build a little platform so it sits proud. And then that's going to make this so much better. So much better. New soil conditioner, new fertilizer, got some new grass seed, got some new peat moss. Been pouring a bunch of these. I haven't had time to for like a month, so these are old. Built that thing to hang the tools over the winter. It's a lot more efficient than the way we used to do it. Got rid of all of our impact sprinkler parts and sent them to the other cemetery where they use the impact sprinkler parts. So freed up a lot of room on our shelf. Still trying to get rid of this thing. Still trying to get rid of that thing. Because I would like to have some room in here for things we actually use. Like that trailer, we used it the first year I was here. It has not been moved unless I moved it to get it out of my way. The last 5 years. Anyway, I'm going to go inside and wait for my burial to get here. You guys have yourselves just the finest of days. Wait before water turns on. And I will see you next time when I have a couple of minutes and can do another Boneyard episode. This is what's drawing in those buy me a coffeeers, man. Give the people what they want.